It's on now. Yeah. Okay, so guys, now I assume, did you clone the project from the GitHub, and it's working on your machines?
Please check that everything is
working
okay.
or not.
If you have some issues, please tell Bilal about it, and he will help you. And have seats closer here. So
I hope that we will see a lot of problems, so we can solve it together, and this will share the knowledge between all the audience. Okay, so did you run it on your machines and it's working fine? No problems, no issues. So the task will be to, after login, we need to add to cart 2 items and make sure the number is increased. So in the manual, as we showed there, let me log in again. Okay, so we add 2 items like this, click on this, click on this. So we will follow the same steps. The project you clone from GitHub, you clone the project on the login test only. So the next step will be to creating a new 2 classes inside a package. This package will be called home screen, because we are in home screen. So we will create classes that's called home screen and home screen locators. And then you need to initialize your locators, execute your functionality on it, add to cart, and then check if the number is increased to be 2 items. And you can find the elements by right click on any elements in the screen. Okay, so in our case, this is the home screen locators, and we need to create the 2 elements that we need. We have many add to carts, and we are lucky to have ID for each element in this screen. By the way, in the from the development side, when develop a new website, like this elements add to cart button, it will be not have a specific ID. It will be under one class, because the developers will create a class with specs, and this specs will be shared for the all items that's for this class. So this is the ID to add cart, labs, backpack, and this is another add to cart. It will be a different ID. So what we need to do, we need to create 2 elements, find by and ID. Okay, so now let's create the first one. This is the ID, and we can say web element, and let's name it first item. And the second one will be find by, for sure ID, and web element will be second item. And you can go to the second element to add to cart button, and you can put it here. Who remember how we can create a methods, getter methods, without writing from the code, like public web element get something? Anyone remember how we can generate the getters methods?
Folks, please feel free to answer.
Remember, it's 2 steps. 2 steps to do that.
So we have a property, and we need to create a getter.
If I'm not wrong, you need just to click, right click, and then press generate.
Yes.
And choose getter and setters.
Getters only. Okay. We don't need setters. Yeah, getters only, and we can select the element, the web element that we need to create to generate a getter methods, and just click OK. This is the elements: get first item, get second item, and now we can call the functionality direct public void click on first element, and we will say home screen dot get first item dot click, and we can say click on the first, not element, item it will be, and the second one public void click on second item, and then home screens dot get second item dot click. And using these methods, we can choose the first item and the second item. Okay, what is the next step will be? The next step to make sure the number of items is 2. So we will go to website and simulate the case manually, and then get the locators for the number of items and add it in the home screen locators. So now we don't have any of items. We can click on the add to cart, and just right click on it, inspect, and you will see it, but without ID in the class. So in this case, we will use the locator strategy to be class name, not the ID, because we don't have an ID. And in this screen, we don't have many elements for this class, just one element. It's the number of items. So we can copy it, and we can go to home screen locators. Then we will find by and class name, and this is the value, and you can say web element and number of items, and you can generate it by right click, generate getter, select this one, it's initialized. Okay, so in the home screen, after we are clicking on the first and second item, we need to get the number of items that we add. So the type of method will be different. It's not void, it's not boolean, because we don't need to make sure it exists. We need to get the value of, so it will be string. So how we can do that? Public string get number of items, and you need a return statement. The return statement will be return homepage screen locators dot get number of items dot get text. So you'll say return home screen locators dot get number of items dot get text, and now this method will return the number of items in the home screen. Now to simulate the case, we need to call all of these methods in the test class and to assert if the number is increased or not. So do you think that will be better to do this functionality on the login test, or we need to create a new test class? Which better? Yes, new test class. Yes, that's right. We need to create a new test class because we are testing the functionality in the home screen. In the previous test, we are just test the functionality for the login, and the assertion will be in the home screen. In this functionality, we are doing the functionality in the home screen and the assertion in the home screen. So there is no need to create another class after the home screen test. So we will create a test that's called home screen. Okay, so should I create the home test under this package, or I need to create some sub package under the tests package? So now I have the login test under the test package, and if I have another test, I need to create class for the home, for the cards, for the login, for the settings, profile, and so on. So you will see that the package have a lot of classes, and it's not a good thing, by the way. So how we can solve this? By creating a new package, and let's name it login, for example. We will move the login test under the login, and then we need to create another package under the tests package, will be called home page or home screen. Okay. In the home screen, you can create a Java class, home screen test. Okay. First step, extends from the base, because each method will be run from this class, should be initialize the driver, and after the test, quit from driver. So now you can say add test public void add items to cart, and now use all screens handler dot get home screen dot click on first item, all screens handler dot get home screen dot click on second item. We are calling two methods, click on first item, click on second item, and the third step will be to assert if the items is already added or not. Okay, so let's see. We need to say assert dot assert equal, and we have two parts in the assert equal. the expected one and the actual one. So as you see, the actual will be on the left side, the expected will be on the right side. So the actual is coming from the screen and the expected coming from us, so we can set the number of the items. So what we need to say, all screens handler dot get home screen dot get number of items and expected to be 2. Quick question, if I run the code now, it will work or not?
Any guesses, folks?
Anyone can answer?
Let's give it a try. No guesses, Bilal.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it will not.
Maybe you have to log in.
Yeah, sure. So I need to log in. So in this case, just I'm clicking on the first item, second item, and the third. So there is no login step. How can I do that? Just calling the login. So I will say all screens handler dot get login screen dot login to system. If you see now, I don't need to, for every single time, to create a login step like a functionality. So just I can call the all screens handler, and I have an access for all screens in the system, and then I can execute the functionality across the tests. So in the home test, I can execute it. In the login, I can execute it, and in the other tests, I can execute it. So I will send the username and the password, and for sure, I'm not remember what is the username and the password. I will copy it from there. This is the username, and this is the password. Okay, I do shortcut on the screen like this. This shortcut give you some choices to choose. You can clean your code, optimize imports if you have unused imports, so it will be removed. Let's say we are importing something in our class, so we need to remove it just by clicking on, for the IntelliJ users, Control Shift Alt L, again Control Shift Alt L. It will display this pop-up, and you can choose what do you want, and for example, rearrange the code. And for sure, I'm using it for every time to make my code arranged and not like with the spaces. Like let's say we have this space and like this. Where is it? You see, we have a spaces in this line, and I need to, not every time I need to just do that. No, just by clicking Control Shift Alt L, you will have some choices. I choose optimize imports and rearrange the code, and just I click on run. It will remove the spaces and rearrange the code directly. So now I need to run the home test from this method. It will be called add items to cart. So how we can follow the steps? Click on the drop-down list and use edit configurations, because we have an ready configuration. It's called SQA, and now I need to change the class and the method, because the add items to cart method, it's not exist in the login test. So just I will click on browse. You will see that we have a new test class, home screen test, and as you see, there is an error because the login to source demo, it's not exist on this test class. So we need to change it. Add to items, click on OK, and run. It's passed, no problems. To make sure your code is working fine or not, change the expected result, because sometimes in the web it's too quick and you cannot see if the functionality is working fine or not. So you need to make sure it's okay or not. I will change the expected to be 10, and we will see if we have an error or not. So it's failed, and if you see the console, you will see in the console, this is the assertion error. We expect 10, but we found 2 because we just add 2 items. So your assertions is working fine, and in this way you can make sure if your code is working correctly or not. And on which area you will face some errors like this one. If you are trying to check if some elements is displayed or not, you need to make sure that's really moved to the next page, because sometimes the different items with the same ID but in the different screens, and your code will check on the screen 1, but not checked on the screen 2. Just you need to make sure that you are really moved to the next screen and to check if the element is exist or not. Okay, so now well, back to 2. Okay, we need to remove this one, assert dot. Again, who remember how we can use assert equal only without assert dot? That's right.
Oh, 1 second. When you're answering, since we have online audience, so
Yeah.
please use microphone.
By static import.
Yes, by using static import. So we will change this import in the line number 4 to be static. So how we can move it? Just we can call static, and after the assert we can do star. Star will give you all the methods that you have in this class. If you want a specific method, you can say assert equal, and it will work. Yeah, as you see. And if you want, for example, assert true, we are using there assert true. As you see, it's assert.assert true because we are just importing for the assert equal only. But if we back to assert equal and make it star and write assert true, see, without assert, because we are importing the whole of methods that we have in this class. So you can use dot star, and this will import all the methods that you have in the assert class, and you can import only the methods that you need to work on. Okay, now just need to check who follow the add items to cart, and if anyone have a problem to add items to cards. Anyone follow?
I guess you can continue with the examples. So.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, now we can choose another test. For example, let's say we need to add 2 items to cart and remove 1. Like we're adding 2 items and need to remove the first one and make sure the counter is working correctly. So like it's 2 and now it's 1. We can go to remove. Let's say we need to remove the first one, and you see have an ID, so we can go to the home screen, locators, and we need to add find by ID, and this is the ID, web element, remove first item, and generate a method. You can write it, web element get remove first item, and you can return first item. Now remove. Okay, we are creating a new locator, and this locator just to remove the item, and we will use it in the home screen. Public void remove first item. We will say home screen dot get remove first item dot click, and in this method we are just removing the first item, and then we need to assert if the item is removed or not. Go to home screen test, and then I will say all screens handler dot get home screen dot remove first item, and then assert equal. Now I can make sure if the number of items is the counter is working correctly, and the number of items is it will be 1, not 2. And in this step you can see we don't just getting the fixed number or static number, so we need to just 1 or just 2. Just we are getting the value of number of items, and we can assert every single time if it's increased or decreased. So we can go to another assertion, and it will be all screens handler dot get home screen dot get number of items, and it will be 1. Now we can run the code again, and make sure it's removed or not. So it's removed and the test is passed. No problems, no issues on our test. To make sure it's working fine or not, we will change 1 to be 2, for example. Let's assume that it's not removed, and we will see it's failed because the item is already removed. And if you can see the assertion error, expected 2, but we found 1, and the actual result, it should be 1. So we can back it to 1. So if you want to create another class, another classes for the another screens, so you need to make sure, let's say we have a screen for, okay, why the session is timeout. Okay, no problem. Let's say we are opening the first one, and when you open the one of the items, you will have a new screen. Do you think that we need a specific class for each item, or just one class for all items? 1, that's right? Yeah, 1, because we have the same components for all the items. The description of this item, the name of this item, the price of this item, and add to cart button. So, and for sure the image. And if you visit all the screen, all the items, you will see the same data. So you can visit all the products, all the items that you have in the website using one code. Just I want to visit something, you can send, for example, I want to visit the first item, the second item, the third item, one code for all. So if I open this one, I will just check if the results will be sauce labs backpack, and for example bike light or jacket and so on. So let's try to open one of the items. Okay. And if you see, we don't have ID for any of elements for the block. So how we can generate or create or add the locator in our test class for something without ID? We are seeing how we can add it with the ID, with the class name, and now we have a different items, and we need to choose, but we don't have an ID for this element. So we have something called relative XPath. And in relative XPath, you can call it by text. So just you can say, I want to add sauce lab backpacks. You can say it will be div, and you can say text. This one. Okay, so if you see there, we are adding and we are searching for an XPath using a text. How we can do that? Just you need to mention what is the type of the element that we are searching on. It's div, and what is the strategy? Text. And should be contains this text. Yeah.
Do you think that using search by text, in such a case where we use product name that can be eventually changed,
yes,
is a good strategy?
Yeah. For this example, because we have the static items, we can use it and it will work fine. For the other things, you can use something for like the class. And if you see, we have 6 items for this class, and you can choose, for example, or visit all the items and make sure the name is exist, description is exist, and the add to cart is exist. So you can use both, but for our example, just to mention that how you can use the relative XPath strategy in the code and how you can get the name by the name how you can get the elements. For sure, it's not the best one for all cases that you have. In some examples, you will have different items for all runs, so it will not work in the future maybe. So you need to follow another one like the class name, so you can get all of the items, and you can check if this is the name of this item. You can click on it. Okay, so let's try one of the examples, like getting by. Let's get it by the class name. We have 6 items. How we can click on any item that we need? That's right, by index. And how we can check? We will check every single one if this is the item that we need or not. So we will go to home screen, locators class, and we will say add find by class name. This is the class name, and we will say web element all items. So all the items that we have not in web element, we will change it to be, because we have a lot of elements, to be list. So how we can say list in the Selenium, you can say list, and the type of this list will be web element, and you need to import the Java util class in the imports, and then you can say public list of web element get all items, and you need to return all items. Using this method, we are retrieving all the elements together, and we need to pick one of the elements. So in the home screen, we can say public void choose element, or choose item, I will name it. Okay, and I don't want to send the index. I want to send the text of the item that I need, so I will say string item name, and now I can say, first of all, I need for loop, and this for loop will starting from the index 0. This is the first index, and then I can say I less than home screen locators dot get all items dot size, and then you can say I plus plus, and you need to check if this is the element that we need or not. Click on it and go ahead. So I will say if home screen locators dot get all items dot get I dot get text dot equal. In this example, sorry, well, we'll send the item name not equal. I will pass one of the elements, and if this is the element that we're searching for, click on it. So just we will copy this and say dot click. You can see now I will call it from the home screen test, and then we'll say all screens handler dot get home screen dot choose item, and the name of the item will be this item. And for sure we will set a breakpoint, or not a breakpoint, let's say we will set a wait for time, for example 5 seconds, just to see if we are opening the item that we need or not. So in this example we are opening // backpack. Now we can run it. So we are opening the correct item. Okay, we'll change the name and make sure if we are opening the new one or not. Let's wait for 5 seconds. Let's wait. Yeah. Okay, now we'll change the name to be this one. I will make it 2 seconds because it's 5 seconds. It's too much. Let's open a new item with a new name, new description. And in this screen, we have the same items, so you can check if I open this item, I need to see this information like the price, like the description for any item. So, okay, what if I send item not exist? The code will fail or run without results, or what is the result?
I guess it will not find the element, and if we have assertion, it will fail.
Yes. So if we
But
are
actually, I can see the whole of your code. Can you scroll, please? Like choose item. I guess it won't fail. So we will just stay on the list page.
it will not.
In choose item method, you don't you for loop choosing and don't see if exist or not. And if it not exist, loop is exit and so on.
Yeah. For this example, because we don't have an assertion to check if the next page is exist or not, it will not fail, but it will not choose any item. So we will keep it on the same screen. So let's run it and make sure. Actually, we don't have any item with this name. So it stopped and without anything. So now I can say, let's back to the presentation and to have. Okay, so what we learn in this workshop, we learn the best practices of the when you create your automation framework and the advantages of the best practices, the automation framework structure, and how you can build your automation framework. Thank you for your attention. You can contact me on Telegram, and if we have any questions. Yeah, please.
Hello, thank you for the speech. My English is not perfect, but I try. Dmitry, help me if I failed.
Yeah.
We often use Allure report, and for use it, we need mark test method in PageObject class with annotation step. Or we can use static step method for mark steps inside test method. How correct use step inside in the test or in class method?
For the report?
Yes.
Okay. For the report, the best practice for the reports to use listener class, and you can add listener on the class level. So I will not complete all the implementation for the reporting system for sure, but you can say on the class level you can add a listener, and this listener you can pointing to pointing to class, and this class will just, if you have a listener on this class, will just listen. This reporting system will listen to this class. Yeah, if it's failed, if it's passed, and you can customize your reporting system using the failures and the past things. Yeah.
So the actual question was about a very exact reporting system called Allure, and the question was about how it will be better to mark function or some piece of code as a step in the utils or in the test class. So I guess for me, it's definitely better to mark in the utils, so each time you call it, you don't need to create this decorator again.
Yeah. To have it in the utils, yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for translation.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Folks, any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
That's okay.
Just a quick question from my side. Let's say we have written 10 tests and we run a suite. Would each test from this suite run in an isolated environment? Could they be affected by each other?
Okay, on a different, you need to run a list of tests on a different environments. Okay, so he's talking about how we can run the tests from the testng.xml files, not from the class directly or the method directly. Okay, there is something called parameter in the testng, and you can pass the parameter to the test. So you can run the same test on a different environment by sending a parameter, and this parameter will be changed. A quick example, you can say at parameter, and you can say environment, and you need to pass it as a string, env, and you can run your code, depends on environment. But this, it should be on the pace, because you need to run the, let's say you have staging environment and dev environment, production environment. So in the pace class, you can say string env, and you can say at parameter environment, and you can say there if env dot equal staging, run this website. Okay. Else, for example, we have just two environments. I will say driver.get another URL. So just by passing the environment from the XML, it will be the best class will read it and go ahead and run the website that you need to test.
Okay, thank you, Bilal.
Yeah.
But the actual question was a bit different. I mean, let's say we run 10 tests in a row, and like one after another. And could the second question, for example, second test affected by the third, by the first?
It will not affect, because we have before and after each method we are creating the driver and they close it, so and they quit from the driver, so it will not affect for sure. Yeah, even if you put all the methods under one test scope or on a different test scope, it will not affect for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, folks, I see that currently we are running out of time. So you can ask any questions to Bilal after the talk in the bar camp. So reach out to him. He will be very...
Yeah, sure.
Okay. He will definitely answer your questions. Bilal, we have one thing. You need to choose the best question and award it with the t-shirt.
Yes, sure. Okay, so after this workshop, I have this voucher to get a t-shirt from the
program committee, from the
program community.
Yes.
And I will ask a question, very quick question. Anyone answer this question will get this one. Okay? Okay, the question is, on which level we are running our tests? When we are add a new configuration, we are going to choose test kind. That's right. I will not click.
Can you show us?
Just click there, and we are adding a configuration, and then we can choose method level. That's right. Okay, so you are with the winner. So just my question is that about on which level we are running. The test kind is method, so we are not choosing the class. We are choosing the method, because before and after each method we are doing some stuff like creating the browser and the quit from the driver. Okay, thank you very much, guys, and see you. Thank you.